How are you? You doing okay? And I'm in my bunker waiting for the rapture, as the humble horse says there. But random thoughts. Thankful for health. Thankful that I could walk. Be thankful for that. I could put a camera behind my back when I go out in public. That would be interesting. And it wouldn't be interesting. That's the wrong word. Yeah, there's the. Smelling pretty decently. Yeah, cinnamon works pretty well for mosquitoes. But I ain't got any on right now. But anyhow, so I don't really have anything going on. I don't think interested. Even though there's many topics we could talk about. Yeah. Sun was pretty good. So you ain't got any more signs of that? I exhausted them other signs. Nah, I'm kidding. And Blue Jay. Hey, so this is just like thankful. Sun just went in, man. That was a pretty decent little sunset thing. So I just went around around the North Pole there. Man, we didn't move, the sun did. Did you know that? Well, for that, a lot of us know it. Well, I got a playlist called Actual Science. I mean, if you want to investigate it, there's some decent stuff. There used to be my previous channel, the channel that got deleted. YouTube deleted it for some reason. Had better ones. It's harder to find the real good ones now. Instead of me just trying to explain them all to you. It's got some decent ones on the Actual Science playlist. So that's one thing of interest. It is good to know. I don't think anybody should have to be, we get a little scared when we start talking about that. I mean, if you're set on, the Earth's a sphere, then just be like, oh, this, just disagree. Oh, so sad. He's misinformed. He thinks it's a flat Earth and stuff like that. Okay. Hey, maybe fast forward to stop talking about it. I don't know where I'm going right now. How long it's going to be. If you must. Yeah, it is pretty cool, though. But the way it is, when people start talking about it, you know what I do? I just be like, just wait. I just say, don't worry about it. We'll see soon. I have like a good brother or sister or something that's like, you really want them to know, but they're like, just being resistant and stuff. So, hey, it ain't no problem. We'll find out. I imagine when we get raptured, we're going to find out. Dang it. I want people to say that I'm doing sometimes. Yeah, we'll find out then, won't we? So, yeah. I actually think as the firmament over, I don't really want to talk about this because of that. I think the firmament over it was like a viewing dome. It even says it's spread like a looking glass. Things like if you ever see one of those snow globes, okay, the land on it's flat inside there, but it's kind of like half of the globe, half of that. Usually it's almost completely sphere thing. But just make it a half of the bubble thing over it. Make sure somebody's not in here because somebody's around the door. Make sure they're not sneaking in my jiggy there. Okay. So, make sure again they're not sticking in my. Okay. So, nice weather. Ooh, looks like it might get a little bit rainy. But yeah, it's like I've heard. I think it was Henry Gruber, wasn't it? He said, "Oh, it's round," and you could see him. He'd go like, "Yeah, oh, I was out there. It's round." He didn't go like this. Sphere. He's like, "Yeah, it's round." I believe he's seen the top of because us, the flat Earth model. Look at the flat Earth model. It's pretty much a solid flat thing there. Then there's a type of domed. Let's call it a dome. Keep it simple over it. If that was a looking glass to where what was down there, when you look at the dome, you actually see probably kind of a magnified view. I imagine anyway. I'm not running any scientific tests or anything on that. But I mean, it would have more surface area. So anyhow, whether it is or not, I imagine it's a magnified view of what's on the land is what's actually seen on the down there, and it could look like. Now, I'm not saying the NASA pictures of a blue marble are true. We know. I mean, I think they've all been easily disproven. Those paintings and stuff like that. I don't know one that's real. And I mean, how are they going to get to that? You can't get to that altitude to take a picture like that anyway. So yeah, we know that. I mean, if you look into it, you'll see that it's false. The moon. The moon landings and taking it from the moon. They're supposed to take the blue marble pictures from the moon and all this stuff. Well, we know that they did land on the moon and so on and so forth. The blue marble picture is fake, all that. But it was like the Henry Gruber. I'm not sure about Henry Gruber, but he could, even if he did go outside the firmament, he could still think, oh, well, yeah, oh, yeah, it was round. Because when they see the usually propaganda pictures, even the Flat Earth Society things, they show you a pancake out in the middle of space. The floating pancake in the middle of space. Oh, don't fall off the edge, everybody. So when he saw that, he's like, oh, I can tell you it's round. If his visions and stuff were true, I could easily see that. Looking glass. Think about it for a while. Yeah. And God has technology like that. He does things like that. I can see God making it like that. But, just saying it's not necessarily Henry Gruber's vision is not necessarily false just because he said that. But man, I've been watching a lot of. Been doing a little bit too much watching of audit videos. Well, they're interesting. I can talk a bit on that, and I try to comment on some wisdom here and there, but usually most of them got so many comments they can't even keep up with it. It's I talked a little bit about it a few videos ago, didn't I? It's something they're doing. I mean, it is nothing to get too overexcited about. Like they're not gonna. I believe it is. What call it? Holding back. I believe it is holding back evil and tyranny. That's what I believe. It's not without value at all. A lot of the things people do that stand up for the right thing, stand up for the legal thing, Constitution, stuff like that. Why has there got to be somebody watching me all the time? So, Father Heaven, I ask your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven, right there where those people are, right there in Jesus' name. I ask your, right there where those people are, Father Heaven, I ask your kingdom come, your will be done on earth. Hey, you gonna watch me on my property from yours, and I don't even think that's their property. I think they're whatchamajiggers. Anyway, freaking out a little bit. They're people bold in weird ways. Like the many times I was homeless, I never did any of those bold things. Anyhow, it's like, uh, I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying about auditing? Freaked out a little bit there. Let's get a little. I remembered. Let me get some clouds while I remember. Oh, orange there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, mm-hmm. Yeah, they're holding back. You might not believe it, and I respect your opinion if you don't. See what I'm saying or disagree? Tell me, whatever. Yeah, they hold back evil because it's what I mean. All the governments are tyrannical systems in some way, shape, or another, and they'll get away with as much as they can get away. It's weird. The American system's strange. And then you because I was balancing that as like been kind of looking at that and praying about it because there's also spiritual implications. That I don't believe I'm just wasting my time with it. If you're like in the Holy Spirit, pray for what the Lord, you can have a worthwhile time viewing, listening to, talking about those subjects. That I was trying to balance it with the not only Romans 13, but 1 Timothy 2, 1 Peter 2, and what was that other one I seen recently? Titus 2, and a little bit of 3. Titus 2 is kind of like 1 Timothy 2. Got a lot of the similar languages. It's like 1 Timothy, that was Paul's. He said it was like his son in the faith, whatever. And Titus, he was like another one of them. He was too. He called him similar things. It's interesting in chapter 2, he was even kind of looks similar. Similar ideas. But it's pretty cool. Wish we had a better view of the north. Can't see it at all. You can't see it at all. It's blurred out on the camera. Doesn't have a. Yep, not able to pick that up. Cool looking clouds though. And the sun and stuff. Balancing the audited stuff with the all those scriptures. I think I pretty much have come to an understanding. It's a little bit complex, but it's like making like a lot of principles and wisdom and biblical principles and wisdoms are keeping the first thing first. It's like at least do it out of a spirit. Like if you're somebody that's doing things like that, at least do it out of a spirit of love. And most of them that I've seen has at least been doing it out of a love for righteousness. I think a lot of them are either born again now or will be tribulation saints. Yeah. One or the other. My personal opinion from the ones I've seen and heard, many of them, but at least the spirit of love, do that love. But even better than that, have a relationship with God. Have a relationship with Lord Jesus. Follow after Jesus. Walk after the Spirit. Not only be born again by faith in Lord Jesus, but walk after the Spirit. Then once you have that, then you could, if you're doing those things, God allows you to, heck, he might even call you to or something. I don't know. That would be interesting. I was thinking, I want to see an auditor that's also giving the gospel. I don't think I've seen that. Kind of slash street preaching slash um, doing the audit thing. That's pretty much been done, and I've seen. The auditing's pretty much it's made a mark. Like I was watching Long Island audit. It's First Amendment audit. That's what they call it. That's what it is. And sometimes Fourth, and so forth. Somebody was bringing up the Eighth Amendment in one of them. I don't know. I haven't checked that one. I forgot what that said. And yeah. Well, there's a whole conversation we can have about the Constitution. But, not Long Island audit. No. I don't like that one. He's going off the rails there for a while. He's instigating and stuff like that. You don't do that. You want to see it done right. You don't want to instigate. You want people to just do what they're supposed to do. Not try to do wrong to people. There was a Bay Area transparency. He said, hey, 5 years ago, this wouldn't happen. There was officers that just came in peacefully and then educated the people that they were in the wrong, not the auditor guy. He said 5 years ago, it wouldn't have happened. He's seen, it's created some change. And but the way the world is, no change to really get excited about, because I don't even want to say what the shadow government's counter move would be. I don't even want to speak it out loud. I don't want to give them any ideas. But, yeah. Summary is, it is what it is. But I do think they've held back, because according to the founding documents, that's what we were given. That was the original nation that we were in, and the ones that even in recent decades we were all taught that we're in. We were taught it in school. I was taught it in school. Okay, this is the nation you're in. It's called USA. There. And here's the Constitution. Blah blah. Oh yeah. You're in a free nation, and we go by the Constitution, and on and on. It's like, okay, and here it is, and this is how it works, and here's checks and balances, and here's the executive, judicial, and legislative branch, and here's how USA works. So the USA we were taught in school, really, as well. We've all thought that, well, that's the USA we live in. But anyway, we can go. Well, it's raining right now. So we just kind of like expecting the USA that we were taught that we're in. It's like, oh yeah, the Constitution's the highest law of the land. Okay. So then you read the Constitution. Okay. Let's go on. Then we'll get this thing wet here. Best thing I found for mosquito bites is stuff right there. What you call it? Deodorant. Just rub the deodorant stuff on there. Yeah, I'm talking, even though they don't like it. It all don't matter. I'm talking. So let's see if I can do this. I'll just talk louder then. Maybe that's the way. See if I can do this real quickly. I just thought of a good analogy for that. Took a little break here. I forgot exactly where we was, but let's go. Okay, I need blueberries for this. If I just chill out and don't have to speak fast, like machine gun, should be okay. Okay, to look at this, I'm just gonna get over this subject, but something interesting that might help some people. A lot of us kind of know it, in a way, at the end of time here, it doesn't. End of this age, it kind of doesn't matter. But here's something interesting, a little bit maybe. In a way, that's Okay, if you look at it, government structures and stuff, and let's look at USA particularly. Something any kind of it's not a true democracy, but any part that we played in the government, anytime it was an actual true democracy, at least as a sham, it was a democracy. We know, like Archer Pulaski, he couldn't be a governor, whatever it's called, of a province in Canada. It's not the democracy doesn't work. But even at a time where it may have worked, the USA and as far as I know, Canada, and any other democracy or democratic republic, um, it's kind of unique in history in a way, or not usual, that the idea of the people, all the people playing a part in the government. Really, you're kind of like you're the lowest rank in a government. Really, the way it's supposed to be, and you could do a lot with that lowest rank, and you could go to law school, become a lawyer, and you probably wouldn't call that a pawn or lowest rank anymore. But in a sense, it is kind of like that. Like all the people at least have a rank in the government. Really, I mean, if it was a true democracy, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see where it's at? I say that I'm gonna paint you a picture that it'll make more sense if you keep that in mind. But let's take the USA government here. Even though they even admitted in their own white papers they're not a government anymore. They even say they're not a government anymore. But what we call, and this is the whole thing, it's all illusion. Did I upload that? I didn't. Man, that was a good speech. The only thing left was like at the 9/11. Somebody tell me if it's a shell government. It's like at the 9/11 event. That thing left was a cross beam. It's like that's kind of what's left of the structure of what we know as America. I don't think I uploaded that. If I do, let me know. I got into some good stuff, but just go with me here for a bit. that if you look at it in the analogy of an army, I got to give you like something with the authority structures and what happened. What I see has happened to governments, particularly in America, and any other nation that's like it. There's probably other nations around the world like it too. Maybe okay. Hopefully you know Army ranks. Hopefully you know Army ranks. If say us, we're not. They have their own. It might not be the right authority structure, but there is a authority structure that's being used. You say like police officers are like almost the lowest. I'm viewing them as a corporal or a sergeant. If you know Army ranks, hopefully you do here. And we're like privates. Let's say somebody's, shoot, I tell you what, if you own a business or something like that, in the West, in the United States of America, and I think England too, it's a Western European thing especially, and it's went into America. It's very economic. Things are ruled economically. If you own a business, especially a big business, not corporation, that'll get you in even higher ranks. A pretty good sized business, you're a corporal. That's the rank above private. But if you're just a regular average Joe, you just go to work every day, whatever you're average Joe, and you're not any of those. Let's call you a private. That's like the lowest standard rank there. You own a business, corporal. You're a police sergeant. Yeah, let's go with this. If you're a police officer, sergeant, anybody in pretty much all of them, all the police forces and all the sheriffs, sergeant. Okay. And I know what some of you may hold up. I'll clear it up. I know some of you might be saying this, like, oh, it's illegitimate. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get to. That's why I'm starting this. I'm gonna show you where the illegitimacy is, and yet how to. I've weighed it out with the scriptures. It's like, well, what about these scriptures and how both of them are in play. It's going to weigh out exactly what when I say both of them's in play, I mean, well, you'll see what I'm saying. I'll keep going. It's going to weigh out how, oh man, it's distracting. See my face here. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Right. It's going to weigh out that how now remember, I'm not saying our place in the spiritual world. We're not of this world. Our citizenship is in heaven. I'm not talking a spiritual analogy. I'm talking about government and authority here, and particularly the USA. So keep that in mind. I'm not talking about spiritual authority in our spiritual place. This is not what this is talking about yet. Not yet. I'll get to that. The last of the army rank before you get to the only king that there is, and that would be God. That's the highest authority. Okay, so working this whole thing, this whole macrocosmic view here. And a colonel in this analogy, just go with his analogy and you'll get the picture. Even though it doesn't fit exactly, precisely on everything, but it's a decent analogy. That we would call a president a colonel, say George Washington, colonel, and the founding fathers like colonels, lieutenant colonels. As such as that started a nation with this Constitution that was well-meaning. All it's for the people. We have some rights, inalienable rights given to us by the Creator, and so many good things. And we believed it. The people liked it, and they called America a free and good nation, and it prospered. And it largely prospered, because the gospel. A lot of believers coming here, It looks like God has blessed the nation, and we believe He has in a whole lot of ways, as He blesses a lot of nations in different ways. And of course, it's not just colonels and lieutenant colonels that played a part in it. It was the whole structure. People fought for our freedoms, at least in the Revolutionary War, at least. We were told those stories, but anyway, the point is how accurate those stories are or not doesn't really matter for this. We was told that, and we see America, we see the Constitution, and we see that's our idea of America. Okay, let's bring it on down to the auditing thing, is these First Amendment audits that people are doing. Let's bring it down to the privates, PFCs, corporals, and sergeant levels here real quick. Okay, oftentimes these instances are sergeants telling normally privates, PFCs, and corporals in this USA now, the time that we're in, usually people above sergeants are with this. They've had there's a system of people training them above sergeant that has hijacked the original America. They even, let's say for this analogy, they killed the original colonels, lieutenant colonels, majors. They killed them and they replaced them. And the captains and the command sergeant majors and all of those, it's been hijacked, and they're now training even down to the sergeant level, say police officer, things that are actual against the law, against that original idea of what we were taught is America. Okay, you got it so far? Okay, hopefully that recorded. I said they hijacked the system. There's some people that were against America that came in. They killed the colonels, lieutenant colonels, majors, and they've really replaced the whole system. And they're teaching sergeants to do things against the law, against the Constitution, against that idea of America. That's the way they're training them. Some sergeants are aware of it. Some just don't care. It's if if the system's paying it and they don't care about the right thing and justice, and most people no longer care about really the original idea of America. They don't care about the Constitution. They just don't care. That's whatever they can get away with. Most people that are sergeants and let's see, staff sergeants, sergeant masters. What was it? I forgot the ranks here. Lieutenants. And so forth. And these are things that, pretty much we all know. We all know these things. But here's the point. And they're in those positions. They hijacked it. I mean, they killed the original. They're against the original colonels that started this land. And generals are like in the system that took over. There's generals that's even higher than a colonel. That's that's what you call your elite. Used to be called Illuminati, as your Luciferian coven, and their top general will be the Antichrist. I mean, he would be like their 5-star general, would be the actual Antichrist that they're trying to get over the whole world. There it is on the screen. I'm drinking water, y'all. I'm drinking stuff. So, I wet my whistle here. But that's, I'm not going to totally get into that subject here. Got enough to talk about already. But to blow by this verse very, very quickly here, just run by it really quickly. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. And this is Israel. Tiny bit different in some ways, but of their silver and their gold have they made them idols that they may be cut off. But the thing is, they set up kings. So those people are in the position of kings. So, even though it wasn't anointed by God, they're in that position. And kind of back to the land of USA, I don't think we could be. I don't think when God judges the nations and stuff like that, I don't think we could be really charged. Now the Illuminati and the shadow government will say that it is our fault. Now they'll try to excuse it and say, "Oh, they let us get away with it." That's one of their main modus operandi there. But I don't think the judgment's going to go that way. If God judges that particularly, I think when the America's judgment come, I think is when He's going to start judging that. They hijacked it. It ain't that we set up the shadow government that overtook America. They came in so sneakily that the people didn't even know what was going on. Like 100 years ago, when they was selling us out and this, that, and the other. You can get all the details. No, they lied, killed, and stealed their way into the positions of government and so forth. I mean, they just did evil in order to get in those positions. And most of us were still thinking, oh, yeah, we'll vote. Oh, it's a democracy. We'll vote people in there. We have the power here. So one thing to be said is I believe these Illuminati, Luciferian, NWO covens that did that, the shadow governments, they did it, and they used things like Freemasonry and so forth, and all those, the CFR and the USA, which is pretty much partially a coven. It's a Luciferian coven, and it's you can research all that yourself. Not getting into all that. It's a Luciferian NWO coven, also sometimes called a shadow government. And if you didn't know, Romans 13, should we go there? Let's go ahead and go there. I think I've recently talked on 1 Timothy 2 and 1 Peter 2, so let's go. I haven't talked about this. If you didn't know, a lot of people say this, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God, and so forth. Whoever resists the power resists the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall see to themselves damnation. Okay, so don't jump ship here. I'm trying to explain this. Okay. So one thing to consider is the time that Paul and these apostles wrote this, there were evil governments, and even a little bit after them, the early church. I mean, we hear, Nero and all these people. They were Antichrist. They had Antichrist heads as government and so forth. So keep that in mind too. So you can see the point that I was making there. They didn't just have, godly governments and, God appointed in a certain way, like God appointed David or something like that. They didn't have kings like that, no, or rulers like that. They had evil governments too. Let's just put it that way. And so here's where it really gets down to it. This back to the system on the land of the USA, particularly. Let's talk about, but it's also worldwide. This gets into, but let's get specific on the USA. I mean, Paul wrote this in a time when there's something else to consider. It's just truth, is it not? That Paul wrote this in a time when apostles were weren't they being beheaded and crucified and so on and so forth. We think Paul was martyred, but I don't think history knows what happened to Paul, do they? Don't know about that history, but many of the apostles were, at least, and and we don't know what happened to John exactly either, do we? So there's a lot of dynamics there. When it comes to the USA, yes, the nation, as we were taught it, was hijacked. I mean, it's hijacked from underneath our noses, or probably behind our backs, really. Probably a better analogy to say that. The hijacked behind our backs stealthily over the years by Luciferian covens. Well, you could call them Illuminati. It doesn't matter what name. You could use that name. It doesn't matter what they call themselves and stuff. They got different names and clans and all that stuff, like that T-Man's a part of, and different Luciferian NWO clans. So, okay, let me break down a point to you. Here's something that I've seen. Okay, even the USA government was taken over, I'll say hijacked from behind our back from his Luciferian covens and stuff. But some people might say, well, it's not too bad here. Go to, this place, North Korea or whatever. It's not too bad here. It's pretty good and stuff. Well, you're not really. I'll break down the reason why it's not too bad here. And this gets into probably the main point of this entire talk. More than ever, the shadow government is coming out of the shadows more than it's ever been, in this nation at least. It's kind of partly out of the shadows. You can see it more than ever. And so, what does this show you? Think about it and pray about it. One of the things it shows you, one of the things it shows you, and I'll get into that. I believe God has allowed this in His permissive will. If you look into the sovereignty of God and His permissive will, you might see why He has allowed this. Because more than ever, coming out of the shadows in the USA more than ever, is one of many things that shows you that it is a spiritual war. Now, it's more, it kind of always have been. But in America, we've had in the past 100 years, it's been an illusion, an ever decreasing illusion. Some illusions being worn off, but especially the past 100 years, we've still been partially, at least, in that illusion that it's America. Oh, you can count on the state to be righteous. You can count on the American way. Think about it, pray about it, and this is why I believe that God has allowed this to happen. Because if we really look at it and pray about it, we'll see more than ever that this is really a spiritual war. This is not politics. This is not, anything like that. I'm right, I'm left, any of that type of stuff. It's a spiritual war, and now it's more evident than ever. I believe that's one reason why God has allowed it all to happen, so that we would see again, kind of re-see, refresh, and even a different way than ever, to put it generally, that it's a spiritual war. And to go on the last point, this connects with one of the last points that previous points that well, it doesn't seem that bad here. And sometimes you could take something to court, see, like a lot of these officers talk about the auditing, a lot of those sergeants, police officers, in this analogy, sergeants. We took them to court and we won in court. They went by the Constitution. See, the judge went by the Constitution, so we still have a semblance of a working America here. You know why the reason that is? Now, at the top in the structures, the colonel is against America. He's anti-American. If they have any generals, the generals are anti-American. They're total NWO. And they've taught all the way down to the sergeants anti-American things, the blue line on their flag, on the police officers, that's separating the American people. If you research what that is. So the only real reason, let's put it to you this way, let's take the past 50 years of America. The only reason why it hasn't looked like the worst era of China or North Korea or something like that is really a spiritual reason. God has blessed us, and it's kind of, how do I say this? How do I put this into words here? So you've done all that, and another thing to understand is when, let's say, those judges, you say, well, we went to a court, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they totally unconstitutional and don't go by it. But sometimes they do. Because they're pressured, they can't do all that, what their bosses in the, was usually 3-letter agencies, would really want them to do by their Luciferian overlords. They're not able to do it all. They're just getting away with what they can get away with now. And, so now enter this sovereignty of God, okay? And it's a spiritual war. That's the only reason why we've had a semblance of civilization, like in the USA over these past couple hundred years, and for the, I guess you could say, the most part. And and I could go just a little bit more into how that is, how that happens. Let's say even an unrighteous judge in the USA, if they're pressured. A little bit of things that I've seen about that they get a spiritual pressure, to put it kind of overly simply maybe here, but quickly. A lot of them don't even worry about being voted out. Some people say, oh, they're worried about being voted out. Well, judges are not voted out, right? For one thing. And but there's a spiritual pressure. Usually if you pressure them enough up to a certain level, oftentimes they'll throw even their own under the bus. It's one thing that they do. I've talked about that. They'll say like, oh, yeah, we'll fire the officer or something. They'll do a little something just to really pressure off themselves. Because I believe there's a spiritual dynamic ultimately going on. Even people judges that don't really regard the Constitution, they can be pressured. Now, some, but if you keep going, most likely, if you keep going and keep going, you run into deeper evil. And I believe that's where you even more clearly find that it's a spiritual war. One of the things I've tried to advise some people is if you go up that pyramid, it's kind of really down the pyramid, but let's say up, since we view pyramids in the right way. But the NWO world's an upside down world. It's really an upside down pyramid, in a sense. I wouldn't. I mean, even though there's at the, say, private corporal sergeant level, you can do things like stand up for the right thing, stand up for the Constitution. No, even though their bosses don't even recognize the Constitution, you could still do it, and you could still have wins, and you could still, I think, by the grace of God, to put it quickly, simply, you could still have some wins and make some changes. But if you really keep going, sometimes even at that level, but especially if you keep going deeper, you'll find out that, I break it down at this simply, real quickly. I mean, they will kill you. You could. I'm saying possibly if it's. I mean, if you're in Lord Jesus Christ, it had to be your time to go. You could die though for doing the right thing, just like people throughout history have. Use a real simple example for sharing the gospel. There's been many martyrs throughout history of. I mean, they were doing the right thing. They were spreading the gospel. And it may be your time. God may be allowed. I mean, we know God allows martyrs. So that really hits it home if you think about it. It really drives the point home. You think about it and pray about it. So if you're standing up for the right thing in a nation, let's take the USA. Yeah, you could do it. And it's not that if you're doing it right, righteous, and you could even stand up for the Constitution, which I don't believe God frowns on at all. I believe He gave this nation that for a reason. He's, different nations for different reasons and different things throughout history. Different causes, different dynamics going on with the whole picture. You could do that, but one of the points is, I mean, you could be persecuted. You look at Arthur Pulaski in Canada. He was doing nothing but preaching the gospel and say, "Get out of my church." They didn't have a search warrant and things like that, and he's went to jail many times. And they tried to burn down his house and everything like that. So, by the sovereignty of God, I'm talking to believers now specifically. Yeah, you could stand up for the right thing. You could stand up for the USA Constitution. That doesn't mean necessarily that you won't have to die for it. That'll kind of break it all down if you think about that for a while. So the point is, think about it. Even at a low level, private and sergeant level, even if you're just auditing or something like that, I would suggest that, the smartest thing to do is, like I was saying much earlier, number one thing, relationship with God. Be born again in Lord Jesus Christ. It's a free gift. Romans 10:9. Whoever believes that Jesus Christ is Lord and confesses with his mouth, confesses with your mouth that He is Lord, and believe in your heart that He was raised from the dead, you will be saved. It's free. Whoever believes in Lord Jesus has eternal life. On and on. 1 Corinthians 15, on and on and on. Because, would you die for it? These people that are doing these things, it's fine if it's something that you would die for. And if you would die, where's your next life? That's one way to put it. I mean, that's a practical summary. And so, as I'm trying to conclude here for this episode, so I might have to get into a lot of these things you could break down more and go into more depth in and hit some other really important points I'm thinking of, like those scriptures. And maybe we could go through those scriptures and say, well, okay, so what do these mean exactly? Let me know, and you can let me know in the comments. I might do it or might not. I don't know. We'll see. But if somebody says, yeah, I'll do that, I'll be much more inclined to do that. And
the manifestation of the spiritual invisible war that is absolutely real, that has guided history, that has developed history, that is history. There is no real history without understanding that spiritual war from Genesis 3 on. And in that, you have now pictures that God is giving us of future manifestation of that spiritual war. Whereas the rise of the dark side and the antagonism, again, you're going to see this all over, the Middle East. The antagonism to annihilate Israel, to get, to the antagonism to never allow them to build the temple, is going to be a massive battle. And when that temple is built, the issue here is that in 2 Thessalonians 2, mark it down again, the Antichrist himself is going to come to desecrate, place himself in it. And some speculate that it is going to be the Antichrist of the dark side guiding things there in Jerusalem, guiding things there, the Temple Mount, to allow it to be built. So for the purposes, the dark side's purposes, that they'll just take it over. They'll just desecrate it. This is where they're going to declare, again, the satanic Antichrist, the Homo Satanas, where he'll claim to be God. Again, the finite claiming that is
Okay, yeah, I don't know. Are they warring against that in Israel probably to build the temple? I don't know if they're warring against that or not, but yeah, I don't know. Every tiny point you said was right there concerning Israel. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. The main stuff of what he said there, yeah. In America, I believe you can actually set, especially if it's like it's a law in the books. They're trying to get you. They try to get the sergeants to do something that's unlawful. Well, you could, instead of a law is over a sergeant or a captain or any of those things. That's how we view America, and that's by our conviction, and a lot of brothers and sisters, even under God, our conviction under God. We'll stand for the laws, not just what some mayor. If a mayor comes by, or governor comes by and tells me to do something unlawful, we're not even. We hold the law over them, especially in America. The only real politically speaking, as far as I know, I don't have no degree in political sciences or nothing, but the only thing that I know of throughout history that, besides a dictator, just a tyrannical dictator, that usually only a king can just make up laws whimsically, just like, whatever comes out of my mouth, you have to do it. So, the people that are standing up for the law, actual law and Constitution, I don't believe are doing the wrong thing. But like I say, if you get too deep in it, I would have a relationship with God. So that's kind of my main summary for this episode. Okay, things we might get more of this we might get into later.